Hi, boys and girls. My name is Miss Schwartz, and I work with the Laugh and Learn team at Mass Landing School. We thought it'd be fun to share virtual read alouds with students, so today I'm going to be reading from the book Nick and Nellie by Astrid Sheckels. Nick and her dog Nellie were set to spend the entire summer with Grandma and Grandpa on the island. Nick had visited before, but never for so long and never without her parents and sisters. This was going to be her very own grand adventure. Nick couldn't wait. But now that she was actually on the island alone, she suddenly felt very nervous. Maybe she wasn't so big and brave after all. Maybe she should just go back home where she had friends. Have fun, Mom said, hugging Nick goodbye. Nick didn't say a word. She just held on very, very, very tightly to Nellie's leash. Nick lugged her backpack up to her summer bedroom. She was staying in her mom's childhood room, which still had some of her mom's old things lying around. Nick touched the faded face of a doll, a worn book cover, and seashells, but they made her homesick. In the past, Nick had shared this very room with her sisters, and it felt lonely without them. She curled up in the bed, clutching her special stuffed raccoon. Nellie rested her head on Nick's feet. After lunch, Grandma gave Nick a great big island hug. "Why don't you take a walk out to the back beach, Nicola?" Grandma asked. Nick's real name was Nicola, but everyone called her Nick, except Grandma. "I don't know," Nick said hesitantly. No, it'll be fun. Run along and I'll see you later." Nick knew that the back beach was Mom's favorite island spot. It was filled with smooth rocks and pebbles. Nick listened to the swish of the long grass against her legs as she and Nellie trudged through it. She saw grasshoppers leap and heard the distant clanging of a bell buoy. She breathed deep the wonderful smell of spruce trees. Nick rolled a beach stone in her hands. The rock was so smooth and so round and so pretty. The ocean had rolled it against other rocks, wearing down every bump and rough edge. Mom said that holding an island rock in her hands always made her feel like she was home. Nick filled her pockets with rocks. That night, she tossed and turned in the dark room. She tightly clutched her raccoon and a beach rock, but a tear still slipped down her cheek. Nick woke up early the next morning when Nellie jumped in her bed, ready to start a new day. She sleepily followed her dog to the front porch where Grandpa sat drinking coffee. "Good morning, Grandpa," said Nick as she sat down beside him. "Good morning, Nick," said Grandpa. "You know, I just love an early morning sunrise, all golden and new. I imagine that this island is the first place touched by the sun's rays. It reminds me that each day promises new adventures." Nick scooted closer to him. She wasn't so sure. Nick and Nellie went with Grandma to pick blueberries so they could make one of Grandma's delicious blueberry pies. Nick tried to help by filling her own bucket, but she ended up eating most of what she had picked. Nellie spilled the rest. After a while, Grandma stopped picking and just listened. "I love to hear the wind sighing in the tall trees," Grandma said softly. Nick listened too. She liked the sounds. Later, Nick and Nellie wandered out to the gray rock ledge. Nick named one enormous rock the Elephant, but then decided it would be more fun as a giant sailing ship. Nick perched on top, a famous explorer gazing out at an island she had just discovered. Nellie, her loyal first mate, sat beside her, watching for danger as seagulls soared high in the skies. That night, after supper and blueberry pie, Nick went to bed. She lay awake, wide-eyed, thinking and thinking and thinking. She still clutched Beach Rock and her raccoon, but this time she did not cry. After supper the next day, Nick's older cousin Kate took Nick to the island store for ice cream. The small shop sold bread, milk, postcards, and penny candy. It was also the island's post office. Nick chose her favorite, strawberry ice cream in a cone. Kate ordered a mint chocolate chip. The girls ate their ice cream outside on the steps. Nellie seemed to like Kate's best. One morning, Nick and Nellie wandered down to the wharf. The harbor was noisy with men's voices, boat engines, and screeching gulls. Nick soon spotted Rosie feeding ducks. Together they tossed bread crusts into the water. "I love the ducks," said Rosie. "Me too," said Nick. Rosie gave Nellie a piece of bread to eat. Nellie wagged her tail for more. Later, Nick and Nellie and Rosie discovered Clint poking sticks into the smelly mud flaps. "Yuck, this mud stinks," said Nick as she gingerly tiptoed out into the squishy mud towards the boy. "What? It smells great," Clint said. "I love mud." Nick did like the feel of mud oozing between her toes, and she liked getting dirty, but she wasn't sure she liked the smell. Nellie didn't seem to mind. Back at the wharf, Nick and Nellie and Rosie met Jed, who took them for a tour of the harbor in his old rowboat. They mostly paddled around in big circles because one of the oars was broken. Nick laughed as Jed told thrilling stories about pirates in the high seas and buried treasure. There was danger everywhere. One sunny afternoon, Jed, Clint, Rosie, and another girl, Emily, took Nick and Nellie to the salt ponds for a picnic. Grandma packed Nick a ham and cheese sandwich and fresh blueberries for lunch. Jed taught Nick how to skip flat rocks across the water. The ponds weren't very deep, but Nellie made sure that everybody got thoroughly wet. "Yo ho ho," Jed laughed like a pirate. Jed really loved pirates. So did Nick. That evening, Grandpa and Kate made a fire on the rocky beach. Nick and the other island kids roasted hot dogs and bread dough and marshmallows. As the fire flickered and sparkled, Nick listened to frogs in the nearby bog and the clanging of a bell buoy. She caught a whiff of mud. She remembered the taste of wild blueberries. She watched her new friends laughing. She smelled a big, wide smile and hugged Nellie tight. She couldn't even remember being sad. Nick and Nellie woke early the next morning to watch another island sunrise with Grandpa. Grandpa could see some caked mud on Nick's toes and some marshmallows stuck in her hair. He laughed. "I think you're becoming a real island girl," he told Nick. "You're right at home." "Nellie and I love it here," she answered, "and I want to come back every summer, just me and Nellie." Grandpa laughed again as Nick gave him a great big island hug. The end. I hope you enjoyed our first read aloud. There will be more to come. and I hope you're all having a safe and happy remote learning experience. We're excited to see you back at school soon.